welcome. So here we'll be discussing the various computing environments that are available. So first we'll be discussing the traditional computing environment. The traditional computing environment, it includes the standalone general purpose computer, normally which is connected through a LAN in an office setup. Okay. And also it includes something like a portal which is used to access the internet. So you can assume the web browser as a portal. So web browser is a portal through which we are accessing the internet or any other maybe any other intranet based system. Okay. And also the traditional computing environments includes thin clients. Thin clients are basically network computers, and these computers has very limited resources. So what they will do in the sense, they will connect with some powerful servers, and those servers will do most of the job. They will be, the user will be just using the thin client as an interface through which he will be connected to a powerful server. And also there are mobile computers like laptops, which is movable, which can be interconnected via wireless networks. And most of these computers, even home computers, uses firewalls. So this is how a traditional computing environment look like. Okay. And next thing what we have is a mobile computing environment. So the mobile computing environment refers to the computing environment provided by smartphones or tabs. So nowadays, uh, we have smartphones with a lot of functionality, and how it is different from a traditional laptop. Okay, so how it is different in the sense, in a mobile phone it has more additional features which is generally not available in a laptop. Say it has a GPS, okay, global positioning system. It has a chip or a sensor for positioning. So by which the server can identify where you are currently located, and it can help you to guide through different locations. And also it includes an accelerometer, so by which you can orient the mobile phone in different direction, and also it is used for playing games and for different activities. Okay, so and also it may include gyroscope, which is used to which is used to detect the velocity at which you are moving. Okay, so these are the typical features which is not available in a normal traditional laptop or a computer, which is available in the smartphone. Okay, so the application which is running in the mobile phones take advantage of these features, and by taking advantages of these features, it provides and it tries to provide an augmented reality environment. Okay, so augment means it adds some value to the reality, and it provides, say for example, you are able to see Google Map, so that is the augmented reality. So reality is road, but you are seeing a logical version of that in your mobile phone. Okay, and it uses protocols like IEEE 802.11 and other protocols for communication. So currently we have two famous operating systems which is working on mobile phones. One is the iOS for Apple phones. The other one is the Android for most of the other manufacturers. It is powered by Android operating system. So this is a brief view of the computing environment provided in mobile devices. Then we have distributed computing environment. Okay, so basically a distributed computing environment, basically it refers to a networked computer. Okay? And these computers may be of heterogeneous in nature. Okay? And the commonly used protocol is TCP/IP protocol, transmission control protocol, and internet protocol. So these environment may be of different types like LAN, WAN, MAN, and PAN. Okay. So LAN means local area network, which is limited within a particular room. So if there are 10 computers, if they are interconnected in a room, then that is called as a LAN. And the computers that are interconnected within a building from one room to another room, you can call it as WAN. The computers that are interconnected from one building to another building may be separated by few kilometers, which is called as metropolitan area network. Okay, and computers which are separated by large distances by more than several kilometers can be called as personal area network. Okay, so these computers will use a special operating system which is called as network operating system. Okay, so so it may have the client version and also server version. So server computer will be running a network server operating system, and the client system will be running network client operating system. Okay, and like this, the communication happens between these computers. So next is we have computing environment with client server architecture. So in a client server architecture, one system will act as a server, and the other system will act as a client. Okay. So here what happens in the sense, the client may place request. So each of the client may request some service, and the server may provide that service. Okay. So it may maintain different types of server. For example, there may be a compute server which is used to perform a computationally intensive task. So if any of the client want to perform a very computationally intensive task, then that it will submit to the server, and server will complete it and it will return back. Similarly, it may also maintain a file server which is used to which will which will maintain a huge collection of files, and if any client want any files to be accessed, it will place a request and the server will provide that file. Okay. So like that, there may be different types of servers, and the client may request any of the server for providing the particular service. Such an environment is called as client server environment. The next environment is called as peer-to-peer environment. In a peer-to-peer environment, we will not have anything like a client and a server. Every computer will be considered as equal peers, and every computer may act as a server or a client depending on the requirement. The peer-to-peer network may work in two style. The style one is how the style one works in the sense, there will be a central lookup service. Whenever a client joins a network, it should register to the central lookup service. Okay, say a client wants to join, then what it will do is it will just register to the central lookup service. How it will register in the sense, it will register like what type of service it can provide. This is a client, it is joining, and it says to the central lookup service that I can provide so and so service. Okay, like that every client will join a network. Now say if this client wants some service, then it will just refer to the central lookup service, and it will see which client can provide whatever the service it is looking for. So if it identifies that some particular client, say this client can provide that service, then it will place a request to this particular client. I want this service. Then that particular client will now act as a server, and it will provide that service. Okay, so this type of model is called, this type of model basically it uses a central lookup service. There is another style in which the peer-to-peer network can function. In that case, there will not be any central lookup service. Client can just join a network, and whenever it wants a service, it will just broadcast a message. If it wants a service, it will just broadcast a message. When a message is broadcasted, it will reach to all the clients. So it will just broadcast a message stating that I need this service. So the client, what it will do in the sense, it will broadcast a message to all the other clients stating that I need so and so service. Who can provide that? So whoever can provide that service, they will reply back. Okay? So they will reply back. So for example, if this client can provide, then it will reply back. So then this client will act as a server and it will provide that service to this client. So this type of system is called as peer-to-peer system. One example of peer-to-peer system is Skype, where the video can be transmitted using the protocol VoIP, voice over IP. Any client can communicate with anybody else. Okay, so right. So this is how peer-to-peer environment works. The next is we have virtualization. Okay, so virtualization allows operating systems to run application within another operating system. That is, one operating system can run another operating system. That concept is called as virtualization. For example, a Windows operating system can run a Linux operating system. So that is a virtualization. If a Linux operating system runs a Windows operating system, then that is virtualization. Okay, so 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 this is how we define virtualization. The OS natively compiled for a CPU running guest OS also natively compiled. Okay, so natively compiled in the sense, say for example, your computer is running Windows operating system, which is compiled for a particular processor, and if that compiler is also running another operating system as a guest operating system, then you can call it as virtualization. Okay? And normally virtualization, uh, all virtual softwares are maintained by a software called VMware. Okay? Virtual machine manager. Okay, this software will take care of virtualization. There is a related concept of virtualization which is called as emulation. What is emulation? Emulation is used when the source CPU type is different from the target CPU type. What does it mean? Say for example, initially Apple is using IBM's PowerPC processor. Okay, Apple is using IBM's PowerPC processor for its computer. Later it switched to x86 processor. Later it switched to x86 processor. Now the operating system is compiled for this particular PowerPC processor. It is not compiled for Intel x86 processor. Okay, so so Apple, what it does in the sense, it created a software which is called as Rosetta. The name of the software is Rosetta, and the input for this software is what, in the sense, uh, whatever the whatever the operating system which is compiled for PowerPC, that is the input for this software. And what it provides output, in the sense, it provides an output. So the input is the operating system which is compiled for PowerPC. Okay, the output is the equivalent operating system. The output is the equivalent operating system which is compiled for Intel x86. Okay, that is it takes every instruction and it will convert into that format which is understandable or which is executable by Intel x86. Okay, now this Rosetta is what it is called as a emulator. Okay, so when you use when the CPU target type is different from the source type, then emulator is used. Okay. So this is an example of emulator. So emulator used when the CPU uh, uh, type different from the target type. So the source CPU type is different from the target type. Okay. Whereas in the virtualization, the operating system which is compiled for the, which is natively compiled for the whatever the CPU in your system, if it is running another operating system which is also natively compiled for that CPU, then that concept is called as virtualization. Simply you can say that virtualization is one operating system. It is providing a virtual environment for another operating system. It is also running another operating system. Okay. Okay, here you can see See, this is a system with single operating system. There is no virtualization. There is a hardware. The kernel is running. The operating system kernel is running, and all other processes are here. Okay. Here is another representation. So this is actually example of virtualization. So here you have hardware. On top of hardware, you have VMM, Virtual Machine Manager. And now this system is running three instances of virtual machine, VM1, VM2 and VM3. And VM1 is running one kernel. Maybe this may be a Windows kernel. VM2 is running another kernel. This may be a Linux kernel. And VM3 is running another kernel. This may be a Mac kernel. Okay. So three kernels. So it means three operating systems are running in this system. So basically this system may be using some operating system. On top of that, it also supports another three operating system. Okay. So the user can use this as a Windows environment or Linux environment. If some user want to use it as a Linux, he can use, or if the user want to use it as a, what you call, Mac system, he can use. So this type of environment is called as virtual machine, and it is achieved through Virtual Machine Manager. The next is a cloud environment. So cloud is also an extension of virtualization. Cloud is also one form of virtualization. It provides certain services. It provides certain services, and there are different types of cloud available. Public cloud. So public cloud means it is available via internet for anyone. Anybody can purchase space in a public cloud by paying money. Private cloud is a cloud which is maintained and run by a particular company. It is not for public. A particular company is using that. Hybrid cloud is it's a combination of both public and private. There is some part it keeps private for its own organization. The other part is public, which can be purchased by others. And these are the services provided by the cloud computing, cloud environment. Okay, it may provide software as a service. Okay, that is through the cloud, some client may avail some software as a service. For example, it may be a word processor, or it may be a, what do you call, it may be a graphics application, or any software which currently the user is not having. They can use it via cloud by paying some amount. Platform as a service. Here the client may use the entire software stack via internet through the cloud. For example, is a database server. So I don't have an Oracle database server, but I want to use it. Then I can purchase, I want for 10 days. Then I can purchase through the feature called platform as a service by paying some amount for some cloud service provider. Then infrastructure as a service. Here the user can purchase storage space, or even high-speed processors. Say for example, I want to store huge amount of data for 1 month or 2 months, but I don't have sufficient devices. Then I can use the cloud service called IaaS, infrastructure as a service, and I can pay some money to a cloud service provider, and I can get some space where I can store this information. Okay, so Google is the best example of cloud. For example, in Google Drive we are storing. Okay, so that provides a storage service, which is an example for infrastructure as a service. And Google provides Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms. All these are examples of software as a service for free of cost. Okay, and also okay, so like that. So these are some examples of cloud. Okay, right. So here is this picture represents how cloud computing works with IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So here you can see this is a cloud environment. There is a cloud management service. It maintains different devices. It has many virtual machines. It has a lot of storage, and there is some load balancing mechanism, and there is a firewall, and this is the customer interface part. This is also connected with the firewall. here the user request any service. For example, the user request storage, then the request come through customer interface to the cloud management, and then the cloud management will provide certain amount of storage, whatever he requests, depending on the pay, whatever the uh, cost involved, that will also taken care. Okay. Then we have real-time embedded systems environment, computing environment with real-time embedded system. So nowadays you can see most of the devices comes with a processor. For example, if you purchase a smart TV, it will have a processor. If you purchase a oven, microwave oven, it will have a processor. If you purchase a washing machine, it will have a processor. But all these processors are called as special purpose processors or embedded processors. That is, they are designed to they are designed to work for a specific task. They are designed to work for a specific task, and they run time constraint applications. Okay, so these sorry, and these applications, these processors, they run time constraint applications. That is, within the particular, within a given time, the task should be completed. Otherwise, it will lead to some mishap. Okay, so uh, basically the processors or controllers running on these devices will get input from various sensors which are connected to the devices, and based on the sensor inputs, it will act upon. It will make some decisions, and it will accordingly uh, it will it will act, or it will create an output. Okay, so that's it about the various computing environments. So we have discussed different environments like traditional environment, mobile environment, distributed environment, client server environment, peer-to-peer environment, virtualization, and cloud computing, and real-time embedded systems environment. Okay, so the next topic is open source operating system. So we'll just finish with this. So so there are different types of operating system. Like if you take Windows, Windows is a proprietary operating system of Microsoft. That is not an open source operating system. The code is not available. Okay, but so that is an example of closed source. Windows is an example of closed source operating system. Uh, but there are open source operating system available to counter the copyright protection and digital right management. So nowadays everybody says that if they create a software, they want to copyright it, or they want to register in digital right management. They don't want to share with anybody, because they feel that whatever the knowledge created by them, it may be used by others free of cost or without any effort. Okay, but there is another community which says that everything we will share. So which is mainly started by this particular community, Free Software Foundation, FSF, which is under GNU public licenses. Okay, so for example, Linux is an open source operating system. The source code of the Linux is available, and anybody can modify the source code and they can improve it. And that is the reason why Linux has improved to a larger extent, and it is now even at some places it is it is doing better than Windows operating system. Okay, so so open source operating systems are one where the code is available and anybody can contribute for the development or for betterment. Fine, we'll stop here. Thank you.